And good afternoon, and welcome to another edition. RW Media presents the Ralph Williams one-on-one show, and we're here at the DJ Fun Studios. And my special guest today is Al Levine, the Talking Machine from Bethel Park TV. Al, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for the invite, and good luck with your new show, Ralph Williams One-on-One.
That's right.
I'm honored to be a guest here today, and you can ask me anything.
All right. Al, tell the audience exactly how you got started with your shows. I know you do Pittsburgh Sports Line with Smoking Jim Fraser, Chip Hayner, and Nick Callis, and then you also do the Talking Machine show, and you do the new one, Speedy Gourmet. That's your youngest.
Let me add to the resume.
Go ahead.
I do a by request show I've been doing since COVID with a jazz singer, Jessica Lee. I've done 41 shows there.
Oh, get out of here.
She asked for inspiration. You're a music guy.
Yes.
She was getting requests because she's a very spiritual, great person. And she was getting many songs. So I told her, let's do a show. She brings up 2 songs that people want to inspire people.
Yes.
She told me I got a good voice and I can do the history of the songs. And she sings and plays a piano, and we do a Zoom show. We got rave reviews on it. We've been doing that. And then I started January. You know, I'm always doing something.
Right.
So I started a painting show. I asked a great artist in the Pittsburgh area, Maria DeSimone Prasak. Been painting for over 40 years at the aviary. She teaches people, Little Sisters of the Poor. She does murals for Sarah's Candy.
Great.
So I said, would you teach others? She goes, Al, that's a great idea. I love teaching. She goes, you have to be on my show. I go, I haven't painted in 50 some years. She goes, I'll teach you to paint. And we did the first painting, and I just did a second painting. She sells kits to paint along with us on YouTube and when our show's on TV.
Right.
So I'm having fun like that. We got rave reviews on it. I even had a guest, one of the experts from the aviary. She was our guest, and she painted better than me because I'm still a rookie here, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing this, and I like to have fun with my shows, and that's my theme, as you see. And thanks for being a fan of Pittsburgh Sports Line and the Speedy Gourmet. You've even had a couple wild caught fish.
You know what? You're the one who inspired me to go get wild caught fish, because I never knew the difference until you told me. So I go out now and I watch, and I buy wild caught fish, shrimp. Anything's wild caught, it's in my cart.
The other thing I didn't tell you, if you can stay away from Chinese stuff, even despite the balloons, but their food and stuff, stay away from it because you don't know what they do. And farm raised fish, they put pesticides, their poop and everything else in it, and you got to eat it. So that's why I don't eat it. I don't want to eat poop. So no, but I do a bunch of shows, and I'll give you a little history on how I got the Pittsburgh Sports Line. I'm a little long-winded since I'm the talking machine, so bear with me. Anybody in the Pittsburgh area that knows me and worked with me in my 36-year career at the Pittsburgh Press and Post-Gazette, you know how I'm a talker. So I started there in 1975, January 6, 1975, at 18 and a half, and I negotiated 6 multi-million-dollar contracts from the age of 22. Well, in 2010, I'm 54 years old, negotiating my last contract. The Post-Gazette, and this is why it was my last contract, everybody that's negotiated anything with any business, they're all going broke.
Yeah.
The Post-Gazette said, we'll let your CPAs, we had a unity council with 11 unions, and get your CPAs to audit our books. Guess what, Ralph, and all you out there, they were losing $22 million in 2010.
Wow.
22 million. And all the CPAs that we had, they said they are losing money.
Right.
So their biggest thing, and this caused the strike recently, is they wanted us to pay for all of our health care. Now, I got to get a little geekish with you. when we negotiated contracts, we'd get a wage. Then 20% was taken out of all our wages to
Right.
pay for our health care. Now we're paying for it with the money, our health care benefits.
Mhm.
We had sick and accident,
Right.
whatever we
Yeah.
had as a benefit. We had sick days. We had to pay for them. There was a rate, and then we'd pay that over each year to get a sick day. And we got up to 14 of them. So now they wanted us to pay all of that. A friend of mine, Gene, on the committee, we're on with two other guys and our president and vice president and our lawyer.
Mhm.
And they go, one of the proposals the company made was we pay all of our health care like $1,200.
Right.
I raise a question because I just gave the experience. What did I pay in 20% for health care over 36 years? So I asked all of them. They couldn't answer me.
Wow.
So then we got bullied by one of our Teamster union, our union Teamster union. They came in and
Mhm.
said, "What's wrong with you guys? If we don't get this health care, we're out of business." I said, answer my question. What are we paying now?
Right.
He never answered me. I won't mention his
Whoa.
name. So I knew we were in for a rough time. We had already had pay cuts for 10 years. We even got, different working conditions. We had to do more work with less people. I used to always say, you'll like that out there for all of you that work. I'm only one man.
Right.
And I go, three people were doing this job and I'm one. They go, can you get done today? I go, not by myself.
Eh.
And those were things that we went through. So it was a
Right.
terrible environment. And we got down to the end of the negotiations. We were the last union to say we didn't want to pay for our health care. Well, guess what? We settled a contract with paying without all of our health care. They did what they normally do, 80-20 split or whatever. And they offered a buyout. And I never thought about a buyout. I figured I'd work till 62 because I always wanted to get my money, my Social Security and my pension money. I don't care about a discount. Give it to me. So I'm there and I look around, Ralph, at my guys. My leadership was giving stuff away before they had to.
Wow.
And I'm like stunned. I brought them all up. I got them. They were all my guys. And
Mhm.
I'll just share this. They didn't have my same philosophy. You know how people get lazy with you got certain rules and you just stay it and you're lax.
Right. Yes. Mhm.
That's what happened. You've worked through it. You've worked many jobs. So
I
you
had
know.
I was in 5 unions in my time. 5.
Well, then you know yourself when you have
I
the
know
same
exactly how it works.
when you
Yep.
have this. I believe in unions because they're a counterbalance to
Yes.
bad companies. If you're in a good company, they pay you benefits, treat you right. God bless my owner friends and everybody else. That's what should happen. But when they don't, you need that counter to balance it. So I said, what am I going to be like in 5 years? If they're losing 22 million now, their business model's broke. The subscriptions are going down. Newspapers are closing all over the country. I took a buyout and I left November 7th, 2010 was my last shift down there. Got my buyout and I
Right.
didn't know what I'd do. I just took it out there. I've been in sales. I've done other businesses on the side and I have a good gift of gab, as you can tell now. I only let Ralph say 3 sentences.
That's it. That's it.
Thanks for letting me go, buddy. I'm fired
Well,
up.
well, what I wanted to say is you're right about unions because, when I was in one of the unions, I worked in a steel plant, okay, that made steel springs.
Understand?
And our union rep said, "You know what? Life." He was there before the union was there, and
Yeah.
he said life was terrible. We were getting cheap wages and everything else, and you have to. Sometimes it can be a balance, and sometimes it's not. But I've been in some bad unions, and I've been in some really good unions. And I was in Local 85 with the Amalgamated Transit Union. They're a
Yeah.
very good union. I was in a few other unions. I was in the union over at Acrisure Stadium when I worked over there as an usher. Bad, poor union. Okay.
No, and like I'll just share this with people. A lot of these unions that came out in the last 20, 30 years is unions are down. Their unions are only 6% of the workforce right now. So with them being just 6%, how can we determine politics and healthcare and everything else? You know what a dog looks like. It has a tail. If we're 6%, how are we wagging the dog? They
Yes,
can't.
exactly.
So to
Right.
me, a lot of this nonsense is all political, and I'm against both parties right now. But that's just my personal belief. But the problem is, you have these businesses that just want it their way. And the Post Gazette, we'll get into the strike right now since I
Yeah,
opened it
I
up.
would like to
If you
talk
don't
about,
mind, I'll bring that up right now before we
yeah,
get what I
because
started.
we talked about this off camera here or off the air here,
Yeah.
and about some stuff. And I've been trying to get the Allegheny County Labor Council president on here. I've been trying to get the Post Gazette's president, union president on here. I've been trying to get. I finally got some footage from a union strike guy. He's one of those people. They have this website. They support unions. Well, he went ahead and he's a former employee of the Post Gazette, and he went ahead and cornered Alan Block. And what happened was when he cornered him, he played a video and he sent me the video of
I heard about that.
yeah,
My
I had it on
guest
the show,
here,
on my
my
show.
my guest was this Jim Van Landingham.
Yes.
He's in my union, and he did my show, and he's a great guy. He's a spokesman for the strike.
Yeah, and he went ahead and he tried to interview Alan Block, and Alan Block's throwing all these F bombs and everything at him, telling me he don't want to be involved. And then
Right.
and then the lady who was with him, now I don't know if that's his wife, girlfriend, sister, or
I
whatever.
heard it was his wife.
Yeah, and she said, "Well, if they don't like working here, they don't have to." Well, you have lady, you have people that have been there for 30 years that never got a raise in 16 years, and you're going to sit there and tell us that? I mean, come on, what is wrong with you? You know what I mean?
No,
I mean,
and
this
that,
family just
yeah.
it's just unbelievable.
No, that is part of the problem. And I'm a nice guy, but I had company people hate me
Uh-huh.
because I represented my members. Like they go, "Hey Al, you're pretty smart. You understand we need this, we need that." Well, Ralph, I'll give you one of the counters. They'd always tell me we need to cut 10% or 20%.
Right.
And I go, we got 4 guys on a job, and we got 1 guy's watching the machine, another guy's pulling out a cart, and 2 guys are stacking.
Uh-huh.
If we take 20%, we got to take one of the guys off.
Wow.
They go, "What do you mean?" I go, "How can I give you a 20% cut with 4 guys? We're going to take one of the people off."
Yeah, exactly.
So I told the business manager, I said, "If you show me how we can work with one less guy, we'll do it." And guys go, "Al, you're crazy." I said, "Well, I don't like a bean cutter. Pardon me to all my CPAs. I don't want the bean counter."
You have to put a disclaimer on that, Al.
Yes, I did disclaim it. You know that. I didn't want you laying it on me, brother.
Yeah.
Because these are my own opinions,
I
and
know,
I went
yeah.
through it. I got scars.
There
There's
you
scars
go.
back here.
There you go.
So I can mention his name. I think he might have passed away. It was Mike Williams. He was a bulky guy, pretty strong guy. And we used to battle. So I said, "Mike, you think you can do it with one less guy?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll come down next week." So we had a crew. We're getting the supplements, the one part of the Sunday paper. You do it advance a couple days. And it's a big bundle, about a foot tall, weighed about 30 pounds. And they come out of the stacker from the press room like every 30, 45 seconds. And we had 2 guys. 1 guy at top has to watch the stacker. The 2 guys are stacking, and 1 pulls out. So he goes, "Take one of the guys off, and we'll stack."
Right.
I go, "Okay, you got to stack by yourself." He goes, "I can do it." So bundle comes down. He puts it down. I show him where to put it. Gets another bundle comes down. Another bundle's coming. Now he's got bundles he's not keeping up because he has to reach out 6 feet to stack the skid. They're starting to fall on the floor, and I'm holding them back. I go, "Mike, do you got this? I'll help you." He goes, "I got it." It packed all the way up to the stacker. I said, "Put the light on." He goes, "You can't shut it down." I go, "We got to pull the skid out and pick up all the bundles on the floor."
Wow. Yeah,
So
you
that's what happens.
I was once a paper delivery person. I delivered the Post Gazette.
You
I also sold it at when I was little at Immaculate Conception Church and at Sacred Heart Church. When I was little, my grandfather would help me, and we would sell papers.
Sure.
Anyway, the main thing here is I feel bad for the people who made a living delivering papers, and now they don't. They had to go do something else, and it's nowhere near the income that they used to have. Gosh, I had a paper route that I could have made $1,600 a month on.
Wow.
And but I couldn't do it because at the time my ex-girlfriend wrecked my car and totaled it, and I had to go get this big conversion van, and it, gas wise, mechanically, and
Oh
everything.
yeah, you got to do what you
Yeah,
can do to make money and survive.
right.
If it's costing you money, you can't do it. But I was a paper boy when I was 11, 12 years old. I delivered the Post Gazette. I had to get up at 5 every morning when I was 12 years old. So imagine that. And
Yeah,
I built my paper up from 60 to 120 in Greentree. So, and I made during Christmas, the money I made and the things I got was unbelievable.
oh yeah,
But that's what we missed. We lost that when they went to putting them on carts and then adult carriers.
right,
So that changed, and business for the Post Gazette and Press changed. Their business models and profits were
right.
shot. They were being upheld by the Toledo Blade and BCI, Block Communications. Imagine paying $22 million a year to keep your place in business.
Oh,
So, I mean, they went, now I've been out 12 years
right.
and they went on strike in October.
Hmm.
So, I mean, imagine what's going on there, and they don't want to negotiate.
It seems that way, and then Block keeps saying that he does, and he keeps lying to the media.
Well,
If
you know this,
you find him-
you know this, Ralph. You go by people's actions,
yeah,
especially when you know they have ulterior motives. When you hire an anti-union busting law firm and you're negotiating with unions, and we used to be strong. I was around when they were strong, but here's what people don't understand. A contract is a compromise between the company and the union.
right,
We don't get what we all want, and you don't get what you all want.
right,
So it's 50-50 or about that, 60-40, whatever.
right.
And that's why I left the place. And we'll get to my story on what I started, but I didn't know what I would do. Sorry for that, going off on a little bit of a tangent.
No, that's fine because I've been trying to get some different information about the Post Gazette strike to begin with, and as I mentioned before, I have had difficulty getting the Allegheny County Labor Council president won't even return my phone calls.
Well, you got to understand, this
And
is with the CWA union. Mine was Mailers Local 22, CWA,
right,
PPM, WS 14842. It's melted in my brain. And
yeah,
I've been out 12 years, and unions, love them or hate them, you have to be proactive in the union to get it done. Like, I reached out to a friend of mine and others that have been out there. I pray for them, all my brothers and sisters that are getting screwed out there. It's
yes,
horrific. Imagine any of you that have health care and they take it away from you tomorrow.
yeah, that was
What do you do?
that's unacceptable. Yeah,
And the key is, when you agree to continue contracts, Ralph, you know it's a mutual agreement that you go by the previous contract. They
right,
had done that for 6 years. So how do you ignore bargaining in bad faith by doing that? That's what they
yeah,
did. They bargained in straight up bad faith and created the strike. They caused the strike, whether Block's wife said anything or not. Is she working? I'd ask first, are you
yeah, I
working?
know, but see, he only was able to do the video for less than 5 minutes because Block kept blocking him away. You should have seen the excerpts he used. They had to block him out.
No,
I
I
mean,
heard he was dropping F bombs
yeah, he
like
was dropping
crazy.
F-bombs like crazy. He even threw something at that guy, and I'm like, come on, man, that's unprofessional for somebody who's supposed to be an owner of a business, a prominent business at that. And
Yeah.
that's to me,
Well,
that's
here, all I'll tell you and your fans out there and my fans, you find out people's true colors, and that's not how they presented themselves, because their
exactly
true colors came out, and you saw you don't want to even be friends with somebody like that, let alone negotiate, right?
right.
So, all right, I leave
Nah,
now.
no, that's okay. I understand. I have a question for you. What led you to get started with Pittsburgh Sportsline on Bethel Park TV?
All right, this. I'll lead right into it.
Go ahead.
I had a good friend of mine at the American Legion. I was going through a divorce, and we became good friends. And I helped others. He helped other guys too. And at the American Legion. He was an officer there, and he goes, "We have a guy that does the Neighborhood Gazette named Nick, and he wants to start a North Hills edition." So it was February of 2011. He
Right.
goes, "Hey, Al, would you meet him at the Legion?" So I meet him. He delivers papers in Bethel Park, all the different stores, American Legion. And I could sell. I've sold other things over the years, home remodeling, all kind of stuff. You can only imagine. So I go, yeah, and I impressed him. He goes, "I'll hire you now." He goes, "When can you start?" I go, "When do you need me?" He goes, "How about tomorrow?" So March 16th of 2011, I started working for the Neighborhood Gazette. He goes, "I need you to go out to the North Hills." I go, "I don't know it that well, but I'll cross rivers." You know, people in Pittsburgh don't want to cross
Right.
rivers. You know
Oh,
that being
they don't want to go through the tunnel either.
both tunnels. Yeah.
I've had numerous shows that I've done about I've blasted people. They don't know how to drive. It's oh my god, I don't even want to
Why do
go.
you put the brakes on going into the Squirrel Hill
I,
Tunnel?
the Fort Pitt Tunnel, they did the same thing, Al.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
they're going from 70 to 20.
20,
So,
yeah, I just don't get it. That's why there's accidents because of that. And
yeah. And
there's
then
the thing,
look at how our roads weren't designed for all the thousands of cars too with how
cars,
they
yeah,
merge.
they're
Just
up.
try to merge on Parkway West from Greentree. You
Yes,
know,
exactly, right.
that's a nightmare, let alone coming from, the east, coming in
Oh, yeah,
the Squirrel Hill tunnels. But yeah, so I go out in the North Hills, and I make friends wherever I go. So I
right.
make friends with the police department. They want to know what I was doing. I go, "I'm soliciting people for this newspaper. We're doing a startup." 6 weeks later, I sold 90% of the ads. I even
Wow.
had the local magistrate writing an article because this Nick didn't have articles. I go,
Oh,
"He
wow.
just had ads." And I go, "You know what? People want to read some content and some positivity, and they'll pick up your paper because you're just dropping them off. You want them to grab them and hold it and support the advertisers." So I designed the cover, and I came up with a special map in the middle. It opened up and it showed Pittsburgh and how close we are. And every advertiser had a little spot. So he loved that. And the advertisers had all their ads, business card ads surrounding it. I sold that. So I'm creative with it. I had them going. So now I'm selling in 6 weeks. I got it up and going. We're doing a second edition. And there's this horror film movie guy. And I'll leave his name out because he wasn't a real nice guy, but he had some ideas. Yeah, we can talk off air, but
I could probably take a guess who it is, but I'm not going to say.
no, I don't think it's anybody you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
'Cause I
don't.
used
I
to
don't
watch a
think.
lot of them back in the day.
Yeah,
Um,
well, it could be. I'll bring up the name after we're done. But
and I was a neighbor of one of them who was involved in the Friday the 13th movie and the Night of the Living Dead, Tom Savini. I was his,
oh yeah, I have friends that are friends with Tom Savini. I
yeah,
have friends my age that
when
were
he
in
lived
the.
in Bloomfield. I was
Yeah,
his,
well, the guy I'm talking about was out of Dormont.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I was telling you that I know you know people like I know people, and
Yes,
yeah, I know plenty of those guys. So I sell him. He wants to do a horror film festival at Crown Plaza, 5 minutes from my house.
right,
So I'm like, "I'll give you a half price ad in the North Hills edition." So I pumped them up. I saved the money and got more people going to come to his show or see it.
right.
And it was good. And I went there and he had me there. And about a month or so after that, he goes, "Hey, that was pretty good." He goes, "You got a good voice and you know some sports." He goes, "Are you a Yinzer?" I go, "No, I bleed black and gold." He goes, "You're a Yinzer." He goes, "I
Oh,
hate."
yeah.
He goes, "I hate Yinzers."
Oh
I
my.
go, "My man, I'm born and bred here. I believe in Pittsburgh sports, and we've had champions." So then he goes, you know, "Would you like to do a sports show or a political show?" I go, "Well, I'm a Union Conservative Democrat." He goes, "I'm a Republican. I hate you for that." So
Oh,
we're doing the interview, Ralph, and
oh my.
he goes, "I do a show on PCTV with Steel City Sports World. I have a co-host, Smoking Jim, and you can produce and host your own show in Bethel Park. This is the
Right.
Bethel Park connection because I live here."
Hmm.
And I go, "I didn't know about it." He goes, "You ever been on TV?" I go, you know Roger Houston at the Meadows? He goes, yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard of him. I
yes.
go, I'm friends with him. I was on his show for 3.5 hours, and I had a horse racing, and he wouldn't let me bet another horse. So he beat me 3 wins to 2 because I had to bet my horse who lost. And I said, I had a fun time. And I saw he was producing the show and everything. I said, I thought that's cool. He goes, that's what you can do. So he came up with an idea. He goes, we'll go meet the director, Dave Cable, who's
Right.
still there. That's my director. Does a great job, puts on over 500 shows every
Wow.
year. And that's public access TV.
Yes.
I only do about 100, but I'm not bragging. So,
There you go.
we put it out there. So we meet him.
Mhm.
And this Mike's a very like bullying, arrogant type of guy. And he goes, I'll just handle it. And I go, hey, you want me to go along? He goes, well, you're produce and host it. If you have a question, just bring it up.
Right.
So we go in, Dave sits us down. What do you want to do? And he goes, we want to do a sports show. And he goes, what about sports? How long? And he's sort of fumbling. So I take over because he's fumbling the ball after the second question. and the talking machine got to talk. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm ready to roll.
Right.
And I go, we want to do an hour of sports with 4 co-hosts, and we want to do it around prime time. And he goes, I want to do it live each week. He goes, well, we haven't done a live show in 10 years. And I go, well, we'd like to. And he goes, well, we have volunteers. I don't know if we'll be able to have them come there to do the show each week. I go, Dave, I just know I've worked with people and they like working with me. So I'm confident once they see how we operate that we'll have people helping. Well, knock on wood, 11 years, I haven't missed a show. We had volunteers the whole time. So we start the show and Mike goes, well, what are we going to call it? And I go, Pittsburgh Sports Line. He goes, that's a dumb name.
Whoa.
I'm like, Pittsburgh fans are all over the country and the world. And if we're talking Pittsburgh sports, I said this, 11 years ago, people will be interested. My Facebook page has everybody from 50 states and about 20 countries that are on Pittsburgh Sports Line. So I worked hard at, getting that and starting that page.
Right.
But we started doing the shows and we were talking. I met Smoking Jim at his house. Me and Smoking Jim are best friends. I only know him less than 12 years.
So you were at his house.
I was at Mike's house. Smoking Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, so we started talking sports, and I told him my dad was a legendary Jewish Sports Hall of Fame referee in the City League. He refereed City League games, all the Whitfield games. He was a PIA official at the Somerset. He used to take me. I even saw a championship game. I was the only white kid there back in 1968. So I got stories for that. But anyhow, so we're talking and he goes, your dad referee out at Gateway, Penn Hills, stuff like. I go, yeah. He goes, I may have seen him. I go, he was a short guy, not like me, about 5'6", about 180. And he ran on his toes. They called him tiptoe. So he was famous for that. And he goes, oh, I'll bet I saw him. So we hit it off. We start doing the shows. And Claudio Rosano, you know him?
Right.
Yeah, great guy. He was supposed to be on our first show because Mike said, I got the CMU head coach of baseball. I go, I love baseball. That'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what? For the first show, he goes, I can't get Claudio because he forgot he coaches all the time at evenings and stuff.
Right.
So he promised me that, and he was wrong on that issue. So we had some younger guy come in on the first show, just out of the blue.
Right.
And it's me, Smoking Jim, and I'll call him Mike.
Watched your first show.
Yeah.
On YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about that? That's the only show I'm not smiling at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know why? A minute before the show, minute and a half, he goes, hey, Al, can you do an intro? I'm like, yeah, I could do anything. I go, you were doing it and introducing everybody and kicking it off. He goes, I'm not feeling it. Can you? Now, I'm like a deer in a headlight. I haven't been on TV in 20 years since I did that Meadows Racing Network.
Right.
And I'm confident. I go, yeah. So I introduced the show. and I had to kick it off, and I have him as a guest. First thing he's talking about is he doesn't like Ron Cook at the
Oh,
Post-Gazette, and he uses the paper for his bird in a cage.
oh, geez.
So I
Oh,
told you all the negative things about him, right? And he was just, we did different shows, and then Smoking Jim goes, him and another guy were doing shows that they'd go at, there was a Crawford Grill at Station Square. They did shows there and other
yeah.
places.
Smoking Jim told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he tells me about it. So I go, yeah, we'll look at some places. I know some of the bar owners. So how about this guy, Mike? He goes in the Kentucky Fried Chicken in Bethel Park, and right next to it's a bar called Level 20.
Right.
Now he's going for wings at Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now, anybody that likes wings, why are you going to KFC for your wings?
Yeah, for your wings, yeah.
And they can be in business forever, but I'll go local all day long.
That's right.
And,
you know what they say, don't you? Stick with what works. Chicken's what works. Wings,
yes.
you go somewhere else and get them. Yeah, like
you know and appreciate that. So he comes back and he tells me and Smoking Jim, and we were having different guests. And Chip came on in our third show. They brought Chip Hayner on because he was friends. This Mike and Chip's wife were friends. So Chip came on in the third show. So we're going to Level 20. We all talked about we'd get paid to do it as entertainers and have guests. Guess how much money Mike got us paid?
How much? Zero. A goose egg.
Guess how much free food he got us? Zero.
So
guess how many of the guests he knew? Almost one or two. Yeah, it was close to zero. He was stalking pretty girls and models and bringing them on our show. Right. And we wanted sports people, and Smoking Jim would suggest a boxer or something. He was against it. Well, we did 20 shows there, and they'd give me a glass of water. We had to pay for fries. Smoking Jim would pay for a double order of fries, and he had to pay for his drink, but he would do that. So we're doing it for free, and we appreciate promoting Level 20, and they were nice to us. But business-wise, they'd even have me advertising their burgers and specials, and I'm like, could I get one? And they're like, no, that's not in our budget.
Oh.
So we do the show there, and now we're getting near the end of, I think it was 2012.
Right.
And friends of mine own Sips Sports Bar in Dormont. It was a legendary bar, well known by a coach, Cipriani. And so we go up there, and they're friends of mine from the Post-Gazette that I know 30-some years. And just great guys, Mark and Teddy. And I go up there, and they get their laptop out, and they go, what kind of show? I go, I've been doing it for almost, a year and a half, 2 years. They see it. They love it. And they go, what do you want to do? I go, I want to do a weekly show on Monday nights. They go, that's a slow night for us. That'd be great. What do you charge? I tell them we charge that. And now Mike and I had a couple disputes. He didn't understand sarcasm.
Right.
And I bust his chops having fun. And then he called me a dumb union guy a couple times. So I'm like, he's not going to last. These are all true stories. I'm saying it on your show here, one-on-one. And I can tell anybody and prove it. I have a witness, Smoking Jim. So we know how he is. So I talked to him and I said, hey, we're going to start doing shows in February at Sips Sports Bar, and I don't need you. You're done with the show. Wow. He hung up because he was expecting that when you treat somebody badly. So we never had a dispute. He wished all of us on Facebook would get stomach cancer, including Chip. And his wife was best friends with him. That's why this is true. So I wanted to share what we've gone through to get to this show.
The show, yeah.
So here we cut him out there, and then we're doing our show at Sips. We're packing the place. It was a smaller place. We get 30, 40 people. The opening show, we just blew it out. Friends that I went to school with are coming there. Other people are coming to the show. They give us the meatball hoagies there for free. We get a drink for free, plus we get paid.
Wow.
We did it for 82 weeks. And then he sold the place. Mark sold the place because he was retired Teamster. And he was getting rid of some of his things, so he could live the rest of his life. So we appreciate it. Then we left there and we started at Atria's PNC Park. I got a good story for you on that. And
Okay.
we started Duke's Rib House and Grill. So we go to Atria's. Well, with Jessica Lee, the jazz singer, I met Johnny Angel. You know the legendary Johnny Angel.
I have met him myself. In fact,
What a great Northside guy. So he said, I heard you do a sports show. He goes, would you be interested in having me as a guest? I go, well, I don't really talk music. He goes, I played ball, baseball, football, boxing, martial arts. I've been security. I said, you could be on my show. And I have him on a show at Duke's Rib House and Grill in Mount Lebanon. Nice place. They have great rib steak. I still say it. We got started there. We're doing a show twice a month there. So I have Johnny Angel. His name's Jack Hunt. I bring him on before. He goes, I thought you said 7. I go, no, I do my live show every Tuesday night at 7. At the bar, we do 7:30.
Mhm.
So he sits down with me. We're talking, getting cameras set up. And I go, we're going to start the show. And I start it. And I swear this is the truth. We're talking for 5 minutes, Ralph.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, hey, Al, when are we starting? I go, Johnny, we started 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Now, he's interviewed thousands of people, Porky Chedwick,
my.
all these stars, James Brown,
I've
you
met
name
Porky
it.
Chedwick, yeah.
Yeah, I was friends with Porky. I met him at CJ Barney's and Wooden Keg on Thursday nights when he'd be the daddy of spinning platters.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was great. And he had all the most beautiful girls in his little room doing it. So Johnny did the show, and he liked the show so much, Ralph. He goes, I want you to meet this John Gagetta. He goes, we both own shares in Atria's PNC Park and the other restaurants.
Right.
And he goes, we have a nice stage. Let's interview you. So this is my classic interview. You'll love this, and it'll keep the talking machine legend out there. So John Gagetta is a sports guy, coach, everything. I give my pitch for like 3 minutes, the elevator speech. He goes, Al, I'll hire you for 2 weeks out of each month. He'll pay me my fee. And I'm like, oh, thank you. He goes, I want to ask you a favor. Could I name a burger after you? So I go, no. Ralph, I go, no, right away. I'm half kidding. I go, my ego's so big, I don't need that. That'd be too much for me.
Right.
He goes, no, Al, I'm serious, because, I'm busting his chops.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, you pick out the burger. We'll name it after you, like the Big Mouth Burger, the Talking Machine Big Mouth Burger, and we'll promote it here. So I say no again. And he goes, now, what will it take? I go, you want me to pick out what the burger would be? I go, I don't eat many burgers, but I do eat some chicken, but we'll make a burger. One burger I eat, maybe you know it, Ralph. Max and Irma's had a garbage burger with all the things on it.
I heard about it, but I never ate it there.
Yeah, well, here he let me do it. I put pepper jack in. We had avocado. We had jalapeno. We had all kind of stuff on there. People loved it. He sold it with fries for $10.99. It was an Angus beef. People loved it. So I have my own burger named after me, the Talking Machine Big Mouth Burger. I'm honored. I thank him for doing that. I had friends that went to the other Atria's, restaurants. They're up in the North Hills, and they go, "Oh, we can't get your burger." I said, "It's only exclusive at PNC Park."
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did that, and we were there. We did. I'm not sure how many shows we did there. We did a couple years there, Ralph, until they closed. I think it was in 2017.
Yeah.
All these places are closing on me. So, we've been River City Inn. We did shows there. We're at Royal Place.
Oh, the Royal Place. I know someone that's DJ'd there.
And they just closed down. Somebody just bought them, but they were great.
A couple times.
And then we did shows at Olive Oil's Pizzeria, and we do Golden Gloves boxing. How about with this Mike? They're out at Penn Hills at the One Country Club out there, and Mike, Mike and Jim, they're doing the play-by-play and they're filming it, and they sell DVDs. So they go, Al, could you fill in? Well, Mike didn't know I knew boxing since a kid. I had friends of mine in Golden Gloves, and I had my dad's cousin that was a boxer in the 20s and 30s. How about he had a nickname? He was 5'5". He was called Kid Doogie. He had a boxer nose, cauliflower ears, and I met him when I was a kid.
Oh
So
my
you
God.
can see I got some entertaining stories.
Yeah.
So I fill in with Smoking Jim, and he's talking, and he goes, "Hey, Machine, what do you think about this?" And I'm interacting. You know how Smoking Jim and I are.
Yeah.
So we covered it, and here Mike's not feeling well now. So he goes, "Can you finish it out?" And Smoking Jim says, "The Machine can handle this." We did it. So I cut him out of that. And we started doing Golden Glove matches. Matter of fact, we got a coming event at the Priory on March 10th.
Yeah, I
It's,
saw that. I
it's the Donnybrook. The Ireland's fighters are fighting the Pittsburgh fighters at 6 o'clock at the Donnybrook at the
Wow.
Priory Hotel. So be there.
Oh, I'll try. I'll see what I
Yeah, no, we got that coming, and we do Golden Gloves fights. We're doing some fights with Ray Schaefer Boxing Association, Jose Carabella and out of Sharpsburg and Millville. In Millville on the 11th, we'll be doing that. And we got Monsville Prison. We go there.
Yeah,
They love us down there.
I watched the Monsville.
You see how fun it is there, huh?
Oh my gosh. I bet it is.
But our theme is, Ralph, and that's why we don't really consider anybody competition, because we're trying to put some facts out, and we try to have fun, because everybody likes watching it, but they want to be serious and critique it all. Like, I don't mind that, because like the offensive line of the Steelers and the Pirates haven't done well in years. So I see it too. But when we're doing the events, we're promoting young kids. Because imagine the discipline to go fight somebody by yourself in a ring in front of your parents.
Right.
We appreciate that stuff, and the hard work that a lot of these gyms don't even get paid to get these fighters ready to fight.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we have a wave of new boxing with men and women. We've seen some of the best young women fighters. Smoking Jim cringes. He said, "I don't like seeing these beautiful women hit." Well, we have a beautiful woman, this Colleen Davis, who's a pro fighter. And we saw her grow and mature and now she's a pro fighter, and she teaches boxing and helps to get people in shape right in Millville. So these things happen, and we're promoting good people. I've interviewed probably close to 1,000 people on my Pittsburgh Sportsline show. You know, we had Taylor Alderdice when they were #1 in our area. By coincidence, the head coach Buddy, was a basketball referee with my dad. He goes, "I love your dad, Tippy. He taught me how to be a good referee." So we were sharing stories about refereeing, and he had great basketball players back then that won back-to-back championships. We've had Monique McCoy of Obama Academy. I don't know if you know her. But her team, I think she's won 7 championships, City League championships. She's a great coach, and she helps her kids get to college and everything else. And then I'll drop a name now. You're hearing about this Jalen Hood Schifino.
Yes.
With Indiana. Guess what? We know her mother. Her brother was Drew Schifino, a great basketball player in Pittsburgh and West Virginia. Yeah, and she had her son Jalen on as a young guest on our show. So he got good Pittsburgh Sportsline karma. Look what he did the other day, helped to beat the #1 team, Purdue.
Wow,
he beat it the other day, and he was, I think, the leading scorer for Indiana, and he's a freshman. And he's a big kid, great, very smart, respectful guy. So there are people coming up like that. And we had him on Pittsburgh Sportsline. I'll give you one of my favorite guests. One of my friends, Mario Tempest, his mother, Ann, loved the Steelers. When she was 91 years old on my show, she was sharp as a tack, Ralph, like we are. And she called me up a couple weeks before the show, and she goes, "Al, I got a question." I go, "Ann, are you okay?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." She goes, "Do you like Christmas cookies?" Now, she's Italian, and she goes, "Would you want any?" I go, "Yeah, I love them." And her son, Mario, brought a tray, arm's length, 4 deep, and she sets them down. I go, "Ann, they look great." And guess what? I started sampling. And I go, can I try a couple? She goes, you eat and I'll talk Steelers. She talked about falling in love with the Steelers in 1933. And up till, she passed away 8 years ago or 9 years ago. She loved her Steelers. She watched every game she could, even went to live games. So that was one of my best guests. And another best guest that I had, you ever hear of Jim O'Brien, the great sports author in Pittsburgh?
Yes, I have.
All the Steeler books. And
yes.
My dad was personal friends with him because he wrote about basketball. And so was I. He calls me up out of the blue, Ralph, and he goes, hey, Al, this is Jim O'Brien. I go, I remember you, Jim. How are you? He goes, I'm at the Market District in Bethel Park, and I shop there, and my friends are telling me about this guy, Alan Levine, the talking machine, as a Pittsburgh sports line show. And they all love it. They said, I ought to be on it. He goes, would you let me on your show? I go, I'd love to have you on there. But I go, I got to make it only one guest, because here's what I think of him. He's like Mark Twain. You know how he used to do shows all over the country? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jim O'Brien can handle whatever you put at him. And he wrote the first book on Chuck Noll, and I had him on the show. And we were talking about the old-time Steelers and covered everything from steroids. Yes, they had plates of steroids for the players. They were all on steroids.
Wow.
He confirmed that and was there, and he told it on air on my show. That was one of my best, and the only time I had one guest, because normally I have from 3 to 15 people. I do some speed interviewing. I've had a team on, like 10 of them. What's your name? What grade are you in? Do you like school? And they answer. Most of them don't like school. I go, but stay in school because you can't get to the pros. Like when you ask boxers, almost 90% of the boxers don't like school, but they work hard and they're learning to be citizens and become good people. But this is why we're up to 810 shows, Ralph. And I just celebrated 11 years. I'll brag a little bit. My son always tells me, don't brag. I go, Drew, it's the truth. I just won 6 more awards in December in our studio. Producer of the month, producer of the year, producer of the series. Yeah. And, I've won 35 in 10 years that I was eligible. So I'm proud and honored to be doing an award-winning show on BPTV. You can go to my Pittsburgh Sportsline channel on YouTube. We produce our live show that Ralph watches and others. It's on there. It's on my Facebook page, and it's on BPTV, their Facebook page. So every 7 o'clock to 8, if you're interested in the talking machine, Smoking Jim Frazier, Nick, and Chip, you can hear us debate many things. Do we agree 100%? Never. Yeah. But we have some fun, and we agree to disagree, and we just like promoting this, and we're trying to inspire others that you can have an outlet to interact. You can bring up comments on my show. Ralph does and says hello and brings up some points. And when I see it, I'll just tell you, Ralph, I don't get the whole feed that I should. When I go home and see it the next day, I see you've made 10 comments or something, and I'm getting 1 or 2 of them on Facebook because Facebook restricted me because of some hacker. I'm still restricted, Ralph, and didn't do anything wrong. I'm innocent, but for 9 more days, I'm restricted.
That's cool. Hey, Al, thanks for being on the program. And we'll try to have you on again sometime. Maybe come on, some other show. And I appreciate you being on today, sharing all of what you do. And the Post-Gazette chat was good as well. Because
thank you.
You gave my viewers some stuff that they don't hear anywhere else about the Post-Gazette and the strike, and it's sad to hear. Al, thanks for being on the program. This has been Ralph Williams one-on-one. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back again another time. And have a great night, and thank you. And don't forget, later on, 7 p.m. on our 4 platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. The way I see it, oh my gosh, I got something for you tonight, and you know it. And I'll see you then. And until then, have a good one. Be safe.
Thank you.